Morning and welcome to a content plan in a minute. This is a very simple way to create a content plan that will keep you on track and keep you motivated in your business. Most of us know that content is really important, but don't really plan very well for it. So I thought what I'd do is, rather than giving you, because I know when I first started doing content plans, it was overwhelming. Everyone gave me these very detailed content plans that went on from page to page to page. And to be honest, what happened is I didn't really use them. So I know I've been there myself, and I just think it's better to have a very simple plan that you can put into action very quickly. So that's why I called it a plan in a minute. It'll probably take you a little bit longer than a minute, and this training is about 15 minutes long. So hopefully you enjoy it. So why do you need content? Well, I think the first thing I'd like to talk about is quality. You do need to create great content, good content. Content that's either useful, that's entertaining, that's engaging, or that's educational. Those are really important words when you think about content. Is it going to educate my audience? Is it going to entertain my audience? Or is it going to inspire my audience? Or is it just a very useful piece of content? So there's reasons to create content, and there should be business reasons. There should be to support your sales and to help create leads. It's to nurture your email list who really enjoy getting good content from you. It's to increase your market reputation and brand awareness. And of course, it's perfect for social media and advertising campaigns. So firstly, how does content and how can you get it to support your sales process? It takes a little bit of thinking, but this is really worth doing. If you've got a team around you, yourself and the team, if you've got a sales department, talk to the sales department. Depending on where you are in the business, it might be you might be a solopreneur, they call it, I think, and you're on your own, but you need to think about how your content, it can almost act like an automated sales process. So think about your funnel. In the funnel, how do people start making contact with you? And once they've made contact with you, what happens after that? Until the point where you actually close the sale. And then, of course, there's post-sale. Is that stuff that you're doing really well? Or is there an opportunity there for you to create good content that's going to help people? So in other words, in every step of that process, think about the questions that you definitely get asked by everybody. Could you do a video series to answer those questions and pre-qualify people before they even speak to a salesperson? Can you create content like infographics to show them the process so they know there's a lot of transparency about once they pick up the phone to speak to that salesperson, they're thinking, I already trust this person, I trust the process, it's something I actually want. And also, that sort of idea of brand awareness and creating an expert. Make sure your salespeople are people that are trusted because they're creating content and maybe answering questions that people want answered. Are you finding it hard to stand out from the crowd? Remember, that's a very noisy business place on the internet. But the truth is that actually it's very noisy, but there's a lot of people that aren't creating good content. And you can really stand out if you start to think about what your competitors are doing and how you could do it better. Do you get leads, but you often find it very hard to close a sale? So think about that side. Is at the end of the process, is it where you need to give people you need to cover those questions that they have, the most frequently asked questions when people come to closing the deal. What is it that stops them? And how can you then go creating content that helps them to get to the point where they'll close the sale? Do you need more top of the funnel sales leads? So in other words, are you getting enough leads into the top of your funnel in order for you to create leads throughout the process? Are you cross-selling? I know it's something I could do better, and I'm sure all of us could do better. How can you use content to cross-sell? These are just a few things to think about when you're thinking about your sales funnel or your sales process. So what I'd like you to do is really give that some thought, and then I'd like you to use that to define your goal for creating content for at least 6 months. So in other words, your goal should be, we want more top of the funnel leads. So you think about what it is the audience wants when they first start dealing with you. All your content then that you generate for the next 6 months should be all about top of the funnel leads. And secondly, the most important thing is once you create this content, you should have somewhere for people to go for the next step. So you should be able to invite them to an event, maybe invite them to a webinar. Or have you got something for them to download, a report that they could download? Could they at least subscribe to a blog? That's the very least, or subscribe to a newsletter. So think about that process. How are you going to nurture them once they make contact with you as a top of the funnel person? Your email list wants fresh content. So I know how precious an email list is. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort to build it up and to build your contacts. And for that email list to not unsubscribe, what you need to be creating is useful content. There's a few people that I subscribe to. One is Digital Marketer, some others are ClickFunnels, there's Mari Smith, Social Media Examiner, even Pagan, Frank Kern. There's a number of them that I just think are amazing. And the reason I think they're amazing and why I look forward to getting their emails is every single time, without doubt, what they send me is going to be useful for my business. They really seem to get me well, and they're creating content that I can use. And so I don't unsubscribe, and that's really what your aim is. Increasing your market reputation or market share. Now, a lot of people think this is all very fluffy stuff, and it's really, really not fluffy stuff anymore at all. What I want you to think about is before you start dealing with a company, what do you do? Or if you're going to meet someone, the first thing you do is go online and find out about them. Now, imagine if the reputation of that person, they don't produce anything, you can't really find anything on the internet. I don't know, we get a little suspicious of businesses these days that don't seem to have anything of value, or if they're only talking about themselves. So what you'd like to do is make sure that people already think of you as an expert long before they even meet one of your salespeople. You know, you've educated them to the point that they think, God, these people really know what they're talking about. We should have them on our side. We should be working with them. So the first thing you need to think about when you're thinking about your reputation or your market share is, who are you really targeting? So if it's that top of funnel person, exactly who is that person? We've got some great training around creating customer avatars that will be coming up in the future. So do keep an eye open for that. But really, you've got to think about exactly who that person is and create an avatar. So it could be a female who's just had a baby, and she's in the A/B income bracket, drives a Land Rover, has a dog, all the things that are going to affect her life outside of what your business is offering. If you're creating helpful and professional content, you know, the thing is that people will share it. And the reason they share it is because really helpful content that is well written and talks about their subject that they're dealing with, or a problem they're dealing with, it really just makes them look fantastic. And people love looking fantastic. So, of course, they're going to share your good content. Of course, social sharing and advertising. So paid traffic, as much as organic traffic as you get from social, the other thing that you're going to look for is paid traffic. And content really covers both of these very well. So social content, of course, blog posts and infographics and videos are all fantastic for sharing across social if they're very useful and they're not self-promoting. People are likely to share them, favorite them, pass them on to people. But of course, you need to have some paid traffic. And really good content is one of the best ways to advertise yourself on Google and across the social channels, Facebook, and also for retargeting people that visit your website. If you can retarget them with really good content, you will see your leads going up online. So now I spoke about that 1-minute planner. And this is as simple as it is to get started. Who will create the content? So in a column, put it, who will create the content? What will they create? So in other words, will it be a video, an audio, written, or an image? So remember, those are the 4 things that you can do. So a video can be all sorts of things. You can make a video like I am today as a webinar. Audio, of course, you can do podcasts, or you could have someone reading out some of your reports. Written, that's quite self-explanatory, and there's images. So things like infographics that explain things. Or just a really beautiful image with a quote on it as well is highly shareable. When do you expect to complete this piece of work? Topic. So I suggest you have about 5 topics. These topics normally are covered in your blogs as well. So under your blogs, you'll see you get the opportunity to create different content topics. And I suggest you choose about 5 of them. Depending on the business you're in, of course, that's going to determine your topics. So for instance, for us, it would be paid traffic, social media, content creation, and strategy. Those would be the things that we would generally be writing about, the high level topics, and we would cover that with our content. And again, this call to action, what is the call to action going to be, and where are you going to send them once they've read that piece of content? And ideally, it should be to a lead magnet. So create a simple spreadsheet, add the columns, think about the topics, and tie them in with the audience that you're appealing to, and think about your sales goals. Always, always write those in big, bold, stick them up on a wall somewhere so that everyone can see them, and plan at least 1 piece of content a week. Now, you don't have to write all the content. Remember this. You could also curate content. So in other words, you can go out into the great thing called the internet, and you can go and find content that resonates with your audience. And you can comment on that content, and you could share it. You can get guest bloggers. You can crowdsource content. So there's lots of ways. You do not need to be the sole content creator. And ideally, in your business, you should have at least 3 people that are creating content from different aspects of the business. This is a very simple planner. Now, I've taken this, I'm a great lover of digital marketer, and this is what they taught me, and it really does work well. You can see you've got a date, who's going to create it, the type of content. So it could be a news post, a frequently asked question, best of the web, an interview post, a case study, and then you can see its type, then the category. So what category are you going to put it under? And then a link to the offer. Just put that link in there. So that's really planning your content in 1 minute. But what I'd like to ask you now is, do you really have a proper, solid content strategy? So something that's really thought out, where you know who your audience is, you know what your business goals are, and you really can take this to your bosses who live in their ivory towers, and you can say, we are going to do content for the year, and this is what we are going to achieve by the content when we spend the money creating this fantastic content. Because of course you can outsource your content creation to people like us who will work with you to make sure that we create content that ties in very specifically with your business goals. But of course, what I'd like to do is I'd like to show you the way that we work with customers, where we help develop their content strategy. So if you look below, we're going to be running a webinar, and I'd like you to join that webinar if it's a strategy that you're interested in. I think if you're a one-person business, this is probably a little bit more detailed than you need to go for. I think what I've just covered here would be perfect for you to get started. And all I suggest is that you get started. And let me know how it's going as well. But of course, if you plan your company's content, or you've got a boss or shareholders or whoever, a business partner, someone that you want to convince that content is really the way that you guys should be running your business, and it should very much be part of your marketing process, and you want a winning and very exciting and agile marketing plan for the year ahead, then I suggest you put your name in the list below as well. And we'll let you know the date of that webinar. We'll keep in touch with you. It's coming up very soon. So At the end of this webinar, I'm sure a few of you would like some ideas for content. You could see that we had some there. So what I'd like to do is offer you a free list of 10 blogging ideas. Now, these will really get your creative juices flowing and give you a chance to explore the topics further. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed today, and I've certainly enjoyed doing the recording for you. If you've got any questions, you can always email us as well. Remember to hook up with us on Facebook and Twitter. It's Make Digital Work, and speak to us there if you've got any questions. Have a fantastic day and get creating that brilliant content.